Really do appreciate you joining us today here on America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Chaz Price and Scott Kerschner this week. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. Once again, that's 419-794-3030. I've got a 7-year-old at home, and he has been fighting for a while now, the whole napping process. I think he's phasing out of it. I got to tell you, and I told him, taking naps, it's a joy when you're older, but we have nothing on other countries. In China, 88% say they've made naps a regular habit versus just 13% of Americans. Shame on us. And in Japan, they're actually allowing napping at work. Let's be truthful. Whether you're my 7-year-old son or otherwise, we could all use more naps, unless it comes to our 401ks. We don't want to let them doze off. So, guys, what steps can we take to send them a wake-up call?
Well, first of all, as you get older, I will tell you this, Chris, and napping it's something that kind of happens accidentally now. The older you get, about that right after lunch, you get to about that 3 o'clock, the sun's shining in your window at the office and the heat's there, and it's just like, okay, I'm shutting my door and gonna do a little cat nap. No, you know what? I've heard that before, where over in Japan, it's part of the daily ritual. They actually, I've seen videos where they actually, have these areas.
Little pods.
They do have pods, and to do that. But, Chaz, all kidding aside, you definitely don't want your 401k to be napping on you and not doing the things it's supposed to be doing. How do you handle, because I know you do a lot of 401k rollovers. I know you deal with a lot of companies with 401ks. How do you handle, the 401ks just simply falling asleep on you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely agree naps are important. These days, after 40, you can't go anywhere, without taking one first. So
sure.
We got to go somewhere. Okay, let me take a nap. But you're right. The 401k, that is the sleepy money sometimes that we fear that clients have, is that they trust maybe that there is an advisory or some sort of service that's monitoring those portfolios, and oftentimes there is not. It's really a lack of, I think in the industry there's an opportunity there to help serve better the people that have 401k plans that they're still contributing to, maybe some of our younger listeners that just are kind of on a set it and forget it sort of
sure.
path. And they
right.
actually create these investments. We call them target date funds, which are set it and forget it. And that's probably one of the worst things that you can do. So for those individuals, unfortunately, when you're still working, the plan itself, it only makes available a couple of different types of investments. The set it and forget it strategy is one that if you're not comfortable buying and selling or monitoring the investments on a regular basis, unfortunately, those are often what you have. It's kind of like going to Kroger's or one of these big Walmart super centers, and then somebody telling you, hey, you can only shop on aisles 6 and 7 and the bottom 2 rows.
Sure.
That's literally what the 401k industry is. It's a very limited select investments. But it's important to know what you're paying for it. And so what we often do, and we offer clients, and I guess we could offer, the first 5 callers today, we can run your receipt. Essentially, what we'll do is, imagine, again, using that analogy, being at a Kroger store, and you've got the shopping cart, and you're traveling around, and you're adding things to it. You're taking items off the shelf, and when you get to the cash register, you get ready to pay, and there's no monitor. As they're swiping things, you're not seeing how
sure.
much things cost. And you say, okay. And then the attendant, swipes all of your items, and they say, okay, that's about $450. And you're like, whoa. I have kids. I know what $450 of groceries
sure.
looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one carton in the front and one in the back. You're
right.
pulling it with 2 kids in it. But you're not, and you get no receipt. Let's say, for instance, you don't get any receipt. You have no idea, but they tell you, you know what, here's what I'll do for you. You can go online. There's this 500-page thing called a prospectus
sure.
that talks about all the costs and all the energy that went into making these products and services. And, trust me, it's all there. And you're like, well, you're not going to give me anything? And so that's, unfortunately, the industry of the 401ks. So if you have, and I just received a client send it over to me today, if you have the printout, or you get the annual statement that shows what the holdings are that you have available, and pretty much just the amounts that you have in those particular funds, we can give you an optimized report. So we'll tell you what the costs are, what the performance has been, and then we'll give you our not necessarily a recommendation, but some observations about how we think you could improve and optimize your 401k. Because you're right, there's just not a whole lot of options, and oftentimes people have the sleepy money. But if you're retired, or if you don't even have to be retired, a lot of people don't know this, but if you're 59 and a half years young, you can actually roll over your 401k to an advisory firm like the Retirement Guys, get access to all of the, the different products and services and investment options that are available to you, and you get a little bit more customized approach, especially as you approach retirement.
So okay, Chaz, I had 401ks when I was in my early years, and I see these statistics. Nearly 75% of Americans don't have any idea what their 401k fees are. I was one of that 75%. I got to believe that number. I guess maybe that doesn't surprise me. 75% is pretty high. So what you just said was, okay, if you're 59 and a half or older, still working, if you're contributing to a 401k and there's an employer match, if I understand correctly, because I've worked with you and Nolan on some of these 401ks, I can roll over a portion of the balance, still have my 401k contribution deducted from my paycheck, and get my employer match.
Correct.
That won't change anything, right? So I can take the balance, roll it over to you. You can at least advise me and give me a more comprehensive handle on what I've actually got.
Yeah.
And still make those monthly contributions.
Correct. And the other advantage is that that would be considered a retail sort of investment strategy where we're working with you one-on-one. In the 401k space, it's more of like a group plan.
Right.
So it has different, costs and things like that, but they're not as transparent. If you roll it over to an individual retirement account, now you're working one-on-one with a financial professional that kind of is able to customize and develop a plan for you instead of having to have a plan that's available for the masses. Well, you might say, well, what about annuities? Why can't I own annuities in my 401k? Oh, sorry, due to the prospectus and the plan materials and the group as a whole, we can't we can't have annuities in the plan. So rolling it over gets it into an individual retirement account. We can develop the plan and the investment specifically for you, and the fees will be transparent, so you'll know exactly what you're paying and why.
So with an employer-sponsored 401k, you're at the mercy of whatever the employer and the advisor that they choose has put together for you.
Exactly.
Great ideas. Thank you, Chaz. I think that was wonderful information to know, and a lot of people may not know that you can actually roll that over.
Yeah.
It all comes down to value, and you don't really know the value of something if you don't know what you're paying for it, and also you don't know what you're getting. If you need a little bit more transparency on there, a second set of eyes, the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, they can help you with that, show you what you are paying in fees, and if it is no longer of value, and you qualify, being able to explore those other options to get that started. Pick up the phone, give a call, 419-794-3030, online, arhq.com.